Welcome to the Miss Nina B Show, inspiring you to greatness. I'm your host, Miss Nina B. Abdul-Wakeel, sharing words of wisdom, insights, and practical life tips. Today we have another wonderful segment of Celebrating Greatness, and I'm having the privilege of interviewing Ms. Andrea Merriman. She is a wife, a mother, a speaker, trainer, and creative harmony coach. I love that, creative harmony. She has survived the death of 2 daughters, working through the pain with purpose and passion. Working diligently to raise her surviving children, she organizes her day to feel her passion by sharing her techniques and strengths with other women in need. Truly, she has had quite a journey at this point, and I'm welcoming her to the Miss Nina B Show. Andrea, welcome.
Well, thank you, Nina. I'm so excited to be here. Every time I hear that, I thought, who are they talking about? but I thank you. Thank you for having me here.
So share with the Miss Nina B family a little bit about yourself. Where are you from? And how did you start this journey?
Well, basically, I started this journey years ago. I started working with people, teaching them how to better themselves to where they want to be and how to set boundaries. And I use that to also teach my kids. I always tell people that when I talk about kids, I had 6 of my own. I had 5. My husband had 5 when we got together. So it's been 11 kids through here. So when I say things, a lot of it is experience.
Well, that's quite an experience.
That's So what I talk about with that is, one, I did have a daughter who was born with a chromosome disorder. And so she was a special needs child. And I lost her when she was 8 years old to a heart attack. She had a seizure in her sleep and she passed. And that in itself was just a moment to regroup and kind of figure out where things are, because even though you have a child with a disability, you still know that the possibility is there of death, but you still don't grasp it very well. And I had to do some things to make sure that I kept my own mind and thoughts healthy, because I still had a lot of other kids that I needed to work with. And so when Jennifer, who was my 17-year-old, Jennifer was the opposite. She was academically gifted and she was intellectually gifted. And Jennifer, thrive to help other people and try to do things. And one of the things she would always do was try to help her sisters and help her family. Her biggest thing is she wanted to help teenagers from families that were, disorganized. And so, but on September of 2014, Jennifer was here when my older daughter, who had been in a domestic violence situation, had left her husband, and he got upset about it. And that's one of the things about boundaries. He didn't appreciate, her wanting to be away from him until they worked things out. And he got upset and he came to my home and invaded it and shot up the home, as well as shooting Jennifer 5 times and killing her at the age of 17. So, I had to decide at that time, this is the second daughter that I've had to deal with the grief of it, that I could either do what comes natural to most people, is to crawl up in a corner and decide I'm not going to do this anymore, or I could make something purposeful out of this. And seeing through all of this, I knew that I've always wanted to help other people and to please other people and to make sure other people were healthy. But at some point, it came, I needed to work on me for a while. So that's how I kind of started with the speaking and that type in the area that I'm in now. I've always been a trainer, a teacher. My background is HR. So I've put together a lot of, in the corporate world, trainings and facilitated programs, but on the domestic violence realm and this part of it just started 3 years ago.
Wow, that is quite a journey. And to say sorry for your loss just seems empty on a certain level. But it sounds like you've taken a situation that could easily have devastated someone and just kind of put them under the bus. And I'm sure you had your challenges and challenging days, but you've chosen to rise above the situation and take it as a stepping stone to help someone else, to use your experiences to empower and to hopefully share guidance through love to help someone else's life to turn out to be a better situation. So tell me a little bit about, I know from reading your bio, which is outstanding, you've got 2 signature programs that you offer to women who are ready to move forward after tough times. So tell me a little bit about your Creative Harmony Mastermind program, as well as your Jennifer Harmon Help program.
So I'll start with the Creative Harmony because it kind of all goes together. So my thought and my philosophy is life ownership, that we need to take charge of who we are and understand what we're doing and our role in it. Not to negate or to diminish victims of domestic violence or victims that have been harmed, but for us to take charge, and when things happen to us, just be able to own who we are and understand that how we are was from things that have happened to us, how we feel, and that when we set boundaries, that those boundaries are based on what we know. So I tell people, everybody's trying to find balance, and we try to find balance by, well, I'm going to work for 40 hours, then I'm going to go home and, make sure I put this many hours with my kids. Then I want to work on my job. And then sometimes we end up feeling guilty because it looks like all of our 9 to 5 in the corporate world went to more than what we did with our family. And so my thought is, and my philosophy is, to create harmony, which means that find what works for you. Find the goals and the dreams and your aspiration and the things that you want, and then put them in perspective of how you need to do that. I always talk a lot about, using your life as a table. And you always hear people talk about a seat at the table. Mm-hmm. So during the Creative Harmony Mastermind, we create your life as it's that table. And then we go through and put your goals and stuff in that table. And then we say, who deserves a seat at that table? Who deserves to be in your life that's adding to your life that is going to help you reach your goals? And then not necessarily who that person is, but what attributes are you looking for? See, because if we just take anybody that comes and say, hey, I want to help you. Hey, I want to help you. Then we end up filtering through things because their help don't look like what we need. Mm. So we need to know what attributes of people that we have. And during that mastermind, we go through that. And we go through answering questions to decipher that piece. And so that's the main piece in that part. And what that does is I go through and talk about, understanding that there's a concept of what I call healing with pearls. And I use the concept of pearls. And pearls will be to plan, to empower, to take action, to learn how to review those things you're doing, and eventually lead and share with others. And so and my concept from the pearl comes from, if you know anything about a pearl, it just took a minute little irritant And sometimes in our life, that's what happens, a minute little irritant that'll come out. And so what happens is that mollusc or that oyster starts to secrete that nacre around that irritant. And kind of like we build up walls around our life and push people out, or sometimes we build up walls to protect ourselves. And if we've been through trauma or traumatic experience, that's what we do. We start building up walls. And eventually we need to decide what that wall is going to look like. And I suggest to do the concept of a pearl, because once that pearl is excreted, it ends up being illuminant. It ends up being bright. It ends up being something classy, something wonderful, instead of being just a wall.
That is awesome. So tell us again. I love that. I love pearls, first of all. So you definitely caught me. Tell us again what P.E.A.R.L. stands for.
To plan, and then to empower yourself, and to take action, and then review. And then as you do that, start being that leader and start sharing how you did those things.
That is awesome. That is awesome. Wow. I can see that. And I see the analogy to the pearl, and too often people will take that irritant, that situation that happened in their life, and they use it to build walls. And instead of using it and intentionally looking at it, the opportunity to build something beautiful and valuable in your life.
Yes.
So tell us about your second program that you offer.
The second program is based solely on domestic violence. After Jennifer's death, as I said, one of the things she always wanted to do was help people. And so it's the Jennifer Y. Merriman HELP program. And HELP stands for Hope, Empowerment, Life Skills, and Prevention. And so if you're a domestic violence victim or anyone at risk, including teenagers from their youth up, and what it does, the main program is a 16-module program that does everything from telling them, giving the definition of domestic violence, how court. We go into self-esteem building. We talk about meditation. We do and someone comes teach them happy. We do vision boards. We have anything from learning about drug addiction and addiction to people. We do resume building, cooking classes. What I did was take the things that people that said, this is why I'm still in this situation. I don't know how to do this. And we've added it to one program. It is the only holistic, comprehensive program put together for domestic violence victims. And we've been using it in our local area for the last 2 years. And I'm just now starting to recruit people who want to teach it in other areas. But it's been
what
phenomenal.
area are you located?
I am in North Carolina, in about 40 miles northeast of Charlotte.
Okay. Excellent. I will share your contact information with the listeners, but I think it's always good to get a sense of what programs are in their area and the people that are delivering it. I applaud you in having a holistic approach, because to your point, sometimes people just think all you can do is kind of inform people and tell them they need to get out of the situation. But there's a lot of different factors that come into play to enable people to be prepared and willing and feeling confident enough to kind of get out of the situation. There's usually something that they've got to gain and some level of support that they need. So one of the things I've learned in this journey is that you can't just tell people to get out of a domestic violence situation. You have to be there to support them as they work through that process.
Yes.